JCPOA. It was a horrible deal. Horrible deal. Listen to me. It was a horrible deal. It was a path to them getting a nuclear weapon. They were very close to having a nuclear weapon. I terminated the deal, right? Then I sent the B-2 bombers in about 9-10 months ago, and they totally obliterated the site, and I saved it. We had a choice. We could let them have a nuclear weapon, or we could go along and have some beautiful days. But they would have, it's a judgment. They would have used the nuclear weapon. And you know what? When people hear that whole scenario, when they hear me say Iran is going to have a nuclear weapon, and they're crazy, they say you're doing the right thing. I don't think it's you'll do polls because they're all fake polls anyway, especially yours, but you do polls. I just won a big election. And the reason I won an election is people have confidence in me. I have good judgment.
Wow, you have good judgment. Let's just take a look at some of those things in order here. Barack Hussein Obama loves to use that term because he loves to connect it in any way he can to Islamic anything at all. Just one of his common tactics that he does, never gives up an opportunity for that. But he says, listen, without me, that there would have been a nuclear weapon. He said that put Iran on a path to having a nuclear weapon. And that is, I've said this before, but it's really important to point out here, especially in context with him claiming, trust my judgment, because my judgment is why people have voted for me. That deal was unequivocally, just factually, hands down, the biggest inhibition for Iran getting a nuclear weapon as existed in all the 44, 43 years up to that point, I think, that had existed before that. And had it continued on into effect, had we not stopped it, had he not withdrawn from it, it almost certainly would have continued on, because there would have been every reason for Iran to continue to abide by the terms of that deal. And the terms of that deal were substantially oppressive on the Iranian side to prevent them from having a nuclear weapon, and gave us eyes on the ground inside to ensure that. And it gave us a coalition of other people that would also give benefit or harm to Iran if they violated and didn't fix it. All the things were in place to make sure there was never going to be a nuclear weapon. But you need to understand, there are people in the United States and in Israel especially that did not want Iran to abide by the terms and just continue to exist as a country. They wanted to destroy them. So what they had to do was they had to pretend that they weren't going to abide by it. And now then this just complete rewriting history. I've used this analogy a little before, but it's like me holding this up here and telling you with conviction, this is a glass of wine. You can see through the transparent glass how good the color is. It's really nice. And, you're looking at this, it's empty. There's nothing in it. That's definitely not glass. But no, it is. Trust my judgment here. Trust my judgment. This is a glass of wine. And you have to just completely blind yourself to this. Well, that continued on. Then he also said, listen, I had no choice in 2025. We had to go in to destroy it. Otherwise, they would have had a nuclear weapon and they would have used it. It continues on with this logic and this line, all fiction. For all the years up to the 46 years up to 2025, they had never had a nuclear weapon. And since 2003, they didn't even have a research program for one. And they had a fatwa in place against one. So in every way that you can, they communicated overtly and repetitively that they had no intention of creating a nuclear weapon. And fine, don't trust them, don't believe a word they say, but believe U.S. intelligence, even the Israeli intelligence, Western other intelligence. Everybody was unified, not a consensus, unified, that they did not have a nuclear weapons program and had not made the decision to have one when we attacked in 2025. And again, this year, before we attacked this year in March, then ODNI, Tulsi Gabbard, again reinforced that nothing had changed. They still didn't have one. The facilities had been significantly damaged, maybe not obliterated, but definitely the surface level had. It had been buried under a lot of rubble, no doubt about that. And that they had still not made a decision to go to one. So there was no justification whatsoever to go. But you see, he keeps saying over and over, yes, they would have had a nuclear weapon and they would have used it, all counterfactual. Now, if that's the guy that's made the decisions to go to war when it didn't need to in 2025, and again, this time in 2026, since it started this one, how much of a chance are you holding out hope that his judgment is going to get us to an end in this one? There's no evidence whatsoever or no rational hope that he's going to come up with a good one. And there's been plenty. I've been talking about them. There's the walk away thing. There's the agree to something that they can agree to. You can put whatever face you want. There's been off ramps. But as you're going to see why, there's been additional pressures for him to go against that. Yesterday, a military advisor to the supreme leader went on an interview with CNN and was asked about what it was going to take to get to an end. And again, he points out there's a couple things that the U.S. could do.
Mr. Trump must make decisions independently of Israel. He must give what is the rights of the Iranian people and stop the blockade. Release our frozen assets. And this can be a new horizon for the future of Iran and America. Therefore, Trump must put aside his personal interests and think about the interests of the American people. If Trump has the courage, many issues will be resolved in the future.
Okay, so there are three really central issues. There's a number of others, but there are three absolutely critical issues that are necessary to bring this war to an end. He mentioned two of them right there. One is the U.S. blockade has to be released, and then number two, frozen assets of the Iranian side has to be released. They're asking for the full $24 billion. President Trump has been against a lot of this, but he says right there, if you do those two, we have something to work with.